Hey guys, this is Team from Fit Body Bootcamp. Today sitting here talking to Amy, one of our clients, and she's leaving us soon. I'm so sad to hear.
Yes.
We're gonna talk to her and about her, what she have accomplished. So, Amy, tell us a little bit more about your accomplishment. What have you done up until this point, and how long and whatnot?
Sure. June 2nd, 2014 was where it really started for me, my fitness journey, my health journey.
Yeah.
And over the course of that time, I have lost about 145 pounds.
Wow.
So in about 2 years or so, I've lost about 145 pounds and have maintained it about 4 or 5 months after that.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. So, I want to break that down. So, because that's a huge number, like
Yeah.
145 pounds in 2 years, give or take, right?
Yeah.
So that's about what, two pounds, a little bit less than 2 pounds, 2 pounds a week almost, and that's a lot of people don't realize how aggressive that is, right?
Sure.
What a big accomplishment that is. So tell me, what did you do, to get there?
Yeah.
How did you do it?
I had known, I started with nutrition.
Okay.
I had known that I wasn't ready, both emotionally and I think physically, to really start in the gym.
Okay.
I decided that I really wanted to kind of first master my healthy eating.
Nice.
And so June 2nd, it was supposed to be June 1st, but I had a lot of anxiety about it. And so June 2nd, I woke up and I said, okay, I'm going to do this. I took some before pictures, which initially I was really not wanting to do, but I'm so glad now that I did take those before pictures to see how I progressed.
Yeah.
And I just decided to really start educating myself. I had watched a number of documentaries about how unhealthy sugar is. I had really just tried to inform my decision making around nutrition.
Right.
And so I just started to eat a lot more clean. It started out a little bit of a progression, cut out sugar, cut out some processed foods. And as I began to see more results, I've kind of refined that even more. Currently don't have dairy, things like that. And now eat pretty similar to like a paleo.
Nice, nice. Now, so a lot of people think hey, when you start doing nutrition, it has to be all or nothing.
Sure.
And I love the fact that you just talked about, hey, you start off with cutting off this and cutting off that.
Yeah.
What was the first few things that you cut off, if you remember, that far back?
Sugar
Sugar
for
was
me.
first. Okay.
And that was stemmed from a documentary that I'd watched where I really was able to just wrap my mind around how toxic it is for my body, because it really then helped kind of ease the decision making around if I was going to choose to consume it or not, because it really became about nourishing myself, and it helped to kind of let those cravings pass and focus more on the overall picture, the nutrition aspect of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I remember having this conversation with you when the first time we sat down and talked, and you said that you didn't weigh yourself.
I did not.
Yeah. And then so you didn't know how much, you just noticed the difference in the way your clothes fit, your body with pictures. What made you make that decision, and why not to go with the scale while everybody was social media or just the media in general was really pushing the scale thing, right?
Yeah, I had kind of yo-yo dieted for years.
Okay.
And I had seen the terrible cycle that I think all of us are too familiar with of you start to lose weight initially and then you plateau, or you don't lose as quickly as you're thinking that you should. And so it becomes like a mental process of just speaking unkindly to yourself, discouraging yourself. And so I chose a different why. And I think that that's been something that's been really important for me, is my why became about nourishing myself, not about a number on the scale. So it was irrelevant. It was irrelevant at that point in time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And we talk a lot about that with our clients, find that why, because that motivates, So can I ask you how you started, you said that's most people at that point when they're still deconditioned and out of shape and overweight, it's hard to make that trigger and pull that trigger and say, hey, I'm going to decide to do it now. So what was your the trigger point, or why you want to start?
Yeah, it was the summer before my 30th birthday, and that January I had finally dragged myself into the doctor's office and gotten a full physical, blood work, everything. And I had always known that I was overweight, but I was sort of in denial of the fact that I was unhealthy.
Right.
And those are two very different things.
Right.
So I had gone to the doctor, blood pressure was high, cholesterol was high, indicators of heart disease in the future was high.
Right.
And I'm thinking to myself, I am 30 years old. Not even 30 years old. And I am so unhealthy. And similarly, around that time, I had gone to an amusement park with friends, and I wasn't able to fit in all the roller coasters. A friend had wanted me to go ziplining, and I was over the weight limit of that. And I realized I'm not living my life to the fullest. Like I am someone who enjoys social aspects, people, and I had found that I was kind of isolating more and more because I wasn't able to do as many of those activities that I had wanted. And so again, the blood work combined with noticing some of those limitations really made me recognize, okay, I need to make a change. That was about January. I knew that I was too busy during that season to really start and be effective.
Yeah.
So I had told myself once it was summer, my schedule had lightened, that I was going to make that commitment. So it had been a few months of really mental preparation before I actually acted.
Yeah, and I love that. You set yourself up for success by doing all the things beforehand and picking on the things that that you could take control over, just the sugar, and start off small and go from that, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's awesome. I have a note here just in case I forget all the important questions I want to ask you. So now, we talking about hindsight. Hindsight. You probably think there's a lot of obstacles and whatnot. But when people are hearing about this, people probably think, well, it's just probably her. She has good genetics. She's just probably right. All the questions and not questions. All the I wouldn't say excuses, lack of a better word, that we kind of use, like, oh, she might have good genetics, she probably have somebody else to take care of everything for her. But what are the biggest obstacles that was in your way during that time?
Yeah, I think many people face the obstacle of time.
Right.
I had been working 12-hour days. And that's part of why I had known that at that particular season I really wasn't able to do that. So in summer, and things backed off a little bit, is when I made some of those changes. But time was still a difficulty, as well as myself. I think I was my biggest obstacle.
Interesting.
You had just, actually, I loved it. You had just recently posted a quote on our different Facebook pages that doubt is going to be the killer of more dreams than failure. And that could not speak more true. Because I think the ways that we speak to ourselves, the ways that we choose to prioritize our time really matters.
So I'm assuming, so back then you didn't have time because it's 12-hour work, and I'm assuming now you probably don't have, your schedule didn't back off any bit. Right. So you started in the summer because the schedule kind of got lightened a little bit.
Yes.
But when summer's over, where did you find the time? Because you went back to a 12-hour work schedule, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I changed my priorities. Okay. So I actually, I went a little extreme, but I got rid of the television. I realized I didn't need it anymore. I didn't want it anymore. And that's not, my journey is not your journey. Yeah. I really want to encourage people to find their own definition of healthy. So it's going to work for me in a certain way. You need to find what works for you. So what worked for me is preparation. Right. I really got in the habit of food prepping every single week. Yeah. Go to the grocery store, chop up my veggies ahead of time, have some protein that's cooked, have it ready, and I'd pack my meals the night before. So it's really about making those choices. Yeah, and you're so right about that. Everybody goes through this journey differently, right? Because I think that everybody wants to decide that they want to start, and that reason why is different for everybody. And I totally agree with that, and I've been doing this for 10 years. I haven't gone through it myself, but I help so many people that they experience this different way of doing it. But one thing that all of them have in common is that preparation, right, and that consistency. And I think that preparation helps a lot, right? So you were doing that consistently before even the project, the fat loss project that you're on, right? Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. And then, so time-wise, and what are your obstacles? Is there any obstacle now in terms of maintaining or just staying healthy? I think it's still time. I think it's still, I'm a big advocate of taking an active role in your life. and your nutrition and your health. And so every single day I'm still making the choice to nourish myself, to be active. And so I think I've been able to combat a lot of the obstacles because I'm always mindful of the fact that it needs to be a continual process of choosing. And so that's what I really encourage people to keep doing is you have to be consistent. So even when you're tired, even when you don't really feel like it, even when it would be easier to just go through the drive-thru or whatever, like literally if you were to look in my purse right now, I've got like LaCroix sparkling water, I've got a couple of like fruit, and protein bars. Like you just always have to be prepared. So
I love that. But I think one of the with working with clients, I tell them all the time that it's so old, but you're prepared to fail, or if you fail to prepare is preparing to fail, right?
Yeah.
I think that is so true in terms of a lot of stuff, but including with nutrition especially.
Yeah.
Right? And then now, I know we talked about this before, and I love your answer to this because it's such an eye opener. And that question was. We help a lot of people, and a lot of our clients or a lot of people that are viewing this, they probably lose weight before, right? They lost fat before, lost inches, whatever it is. They found success, but no matter how hard that is, the harder part of it is how to keep it off, right? So how did you, what do you have to do mindset wise, or, and I think that's the biggest one is mindset wise. What do you do to get your headspace in the right spot to continue that? Right?
Yeah, I think that's important. And I think one of the main things that I have done is remembering my why. Keeping the focus on the why. I think if you tie your process and your progress to a specific pant size or number on the scale, it's never going to be good enough. You're never going to be satisfied.
Right.
And so if you are able to kind of hold the perspective of, I'm doing this to be more active, I'm doing this to be healthier, to live a longer life, it helps you to then be able to maintain that. And it helps you to make those choices in the moment too, that help you to overall have that consistency. And so I think the thing that a lot of people get discouraged, and this is like a new part of my process, is I might be at a size that I feel more comfortable in, more fit, more active, but my body is never going to be the body that is a standard of perfection and beauty according to our society. Whether it's loose skin, whether it's stretch marks, whatever that might be, I will never be looking like a centerfold, and I am totally okay with that. Because I know that I am just a healthier person overall, both mentally, physically. And so just really encouraging people, I think, to hold that perspective and to celebrate their body where they are in that moment. And to really be proud of what your body can do. Like I was chest pressing this morning like 50 pounds, and I'm like, holy cow, I'm awesome. It's so cool to be able to then celebrate your body.
And I want to point this out because people then looking at you like, well, I can never be there. But you didn't. This is through hard work. So you just didn't wake up one day, came out here and start bench pressing 50 something pounds, right? Like you work hard at it every day. Come in and you put your work into it, right? That's awesome. And now that we're talking, one thing that sparks me that I think is so powerful, because I think in our society now the whole fat shaming, right? So I think that's a good movement, but I think there's polar that we have to pull, right? And I think you talked about, I know you talked about it. One is that, hey, we got to love our body and celebrate what our body could do. At the same time, we got to make sure that we could be healthy, so we could be taking advantage of everything life could offer, right? And then live life to the fullest. For me, I'm getting emails and Facebook comments about people fat shaming and whatnot, and then they use that, I wouldn't say use that as an excuse, but use that to justify that it's okay to be unhealthy, if that makes sense, right? And I love that you're talking about pulling it, like love what you are now, but continue to work at it.
Yes, absolutely.
So is that the key to like maintaining, is just kind of like, no matter where you're at, right? Just to love that this is you, right? And this is your body, right?
I think I shared this with you when we first talked. Like, acceptance is not settling, and I think you have to first really own and accept where you're at in your journey, and celebrate where you're at in that journey. And so one of the reasons that I'm most glad that I took my quote unquote before pictures that day was I look at that person and I'm so proud of who that person is and how brave I was to then go on this journey. And it's a scary thing. It's a really scary thing to face quote unquote failure, you know, if you venture into this. And so really just celebrating where you're at and knowing you're there for a reason. Like you got where you are for a reason, whether it's depression, whether it's genetics, whatever that might be. And being able to own that, but then not feeling like you're having to be stuck there.
I think that's a lot of courage. And I think that's the hardest part for a lot of people is, you know, it's any part of life. As soon as you're thinking, hey, I need to be better, you have to accept that you're not good enough, right? Or for that moment. And just have that courage, be like, I need to do something about it, right? Speak loudly. So kudos to everybody that's, taking that decision and taking forward. And I love that. So what motivates you during that 2 years or continue to motivate you? Like, what motivates you daily? And motivation, like, it starts and then so it kind of ends. And do you go through that cycle, or for you, what do you do to stay motivated throughout the whole thing and up until now?
I think a lot of it is, it was in January, so about 6-7 months ago now, 8 months ago, I guess, that I decided to join FitBody. And I had kind of recognized, up to that point, I had done it really kind of quote unquote on my own, but without any exercise. So at that time, while I was eating healthier, I think it's having friends and family around you that support you, that can encourage you. But I had known that I was really ready to kind of make this shift to a new, I had mastered the eating, and I was really ready to incorporate the exercise. And so I think it's finding that next challenge for yourself so it doesn't become monotonous and it doesn't become mundane. And so joining FitBody for me really was that next step of trying something new. And the reason that I chose FitBody is I had really wanted the community aspect of it. I knew that was important for me. I had major gym phobia. You know, I was scared to death on the first day to come into this place, trust me. But knowing that I didn't want to have to figure it out on my own, you know, just come in and have a community. And that has been the part that has made this so incredible is, you know, I look forward to coming in at 6 a.m. every morning and seeing my friends. Every morning and seeing my friends. And truly, they are my friends, you know. So
the friends that you made here, because you came in by yourself.
Totally came in by myself. Totally. And every workout to just be able to be encouraged by people and to have, you know, a few of my friends be like, Amy, you can lift heavier than that. Or I remember this one day I was doing push-ups and I was doing them on my knees. And I remember Debbie, my friend, she goes, really? And so like it pushes you to that next step, you know, that you wouldn't think that you could do.
And I love it because as a trainer for, you know, 10 odd plus years now, I know for a fact that when I'm out there and I'm pushing somebody to do push-ups, you know, off their knees or do more, is different than when a friend pushes them, right?
Absolutely.
And that positive peer pressure, at its best, right there. Now, I was going to say something, I totally forgot. So, what would you tell people who's on the fence, like who is, you know, not sure if they're ready, who's might be a little scared of making or don't know what to do? Like what do they, you know, what do you want to say to them?
I think I would just really encourage you guys, kind of like we talked about before, to really just kind of embrace and know where you're at in the moment and be okay with where you're at in the moment. And I think one of our biggest obstacles is our own internal dialogue. And we speak so negatively to ourselves, I think, when we are stuck in this cycle. And one of the things that I found most helpful for myself, and I think others would find more helpful, is really shifting that internal narrative to something that is more positive and more encouraging. And so I think that really starts with you first kind of owning where you're at in the moment, and then finding whatever feels possible for you to do, whether it's cutting out sugar, whether it's, you know, starting working out, whether it's you know, just getting friends and family on board and going for a few more walks. I think it's really just identifying and recognizing like you are stronger and more courageous than you think that you are, and you are more capable than you think that you are. And so break it down. Do not look at the end goal. If someone had looked at me 2 years ago and said, you have to lose 145 pounds. I would look at them and be like, you are a nut. Like, no, that's not happening.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing about this journey is this has never been my goal.
That
weight loss
amazes me.
Yeah, this weight loss has never been my goal.
Right.
I'm not gonna lie, it's
Right.
been a great byproduct of like my choices,
Right.
but it was never the goal.
Right.
And so I think it really is choosing a why that is not connected to a number on the scale or a pant size,
Right.
and making small choices every single day and celebrating each choice that you make. So in the office that I worked at, there's this candy bowl that like just sits there with like Snickers and Twix and all this stuff. And I remember initially when I was starting this, like I would literally walk by and I would look at it and I would stop and I would make the conscious choice like, no, you're not worth it. I'm not gonna do that. But here's the kicker, is I have found that the biggest thing that people need is to regain a sense of control over their choices and their decision making. Because real life happens.
Yeah.
Guess what? I have sugar on occasion. Like I have a drink on occasion, you know,
Yes.
like I live real life, but I have allowed myself to gain a sense of mastery over my choices and my decision making.
Right.
It's
Rather
no
than-
longer,
Rather the opposite, where you
Right.
know, those decisions taking control of us.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's no longer emotional. It's something that I feel like I'm able to make the choice of I'm out with friends, it's a birthday party, I'm going to celebrate, and tomorrow I'm going to be able to, you know, make those choices that are going to continue my process.
Right.
One cupcake is not going to ruin everything. So it's cutting out the black and white thinking, you
Yeah.
know, it's just real life happens. And so gaining back a sense of control and celebrating those decisions along the way.
Yeah, and I think that's huge, because a lot of our clients, a lot of people I talk to feel like it has to be all or nothing kind of
Yeah.
deal. It's like, hey, when can I, you know, what happen I do at a birthday party? What do I do at a wedding? I'm like, well, enjoy it.
Yeah, have fun.
Yeah, you know, a glass of wine here and there is fine. You know, whatever, you know, just enjoy life, but at the same time, you know, gotta watch out for your health as well.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
Now, is there, another question. So you talking about earlier hitting plateaus, and we're sitting here talking about, hey, in those 2 years you got this great results, and is there at any point in those, because you're not using a scale to measure your success,
Right.
did you feel like you hit a plateau at all, or did you not have that problem because your end goal, or your goal, not even end goal, but your goal was to be healthier and a better version in terms of health and fitness and whatnot? Like, did you hit a plateau, or did you experience that at all?
Sure. I would say, yeah, in terms of noticing differences and how rapidly I was seeing results and things like that, there were definitely ebbs and flows.
Right.
Plateaus, certainly in terms of motivation, you
Right.
know, of needing to kind of just make the choice to keep going as
Yeah.
opposed to really feeling that passion and that fire.
Yeah.
But that's where I think having some community around you is really effective, to have people to kind of remind you as
Right.
to why. As well as, you know, one of the things that I did do was take pictures along the way. And that actually was something that helped a lot of me being able to see some of that progress. So even in my plateaus, I would, and this is where it comes back to really celebrating where you are along the way, is I would really try to hold the perspective of, if this is where I stay,
Yeah.
I am so much better
Than
than
before.
how I was.
Yeah.
And it's trusting your body. So if you are feeling in control of your choices, of what you're putting in your body, and you're living an active lifestyle, whatever that might be for you, even if it's just walking every day, trust your body to do what it's naturally going to do, and be okay with what it's going to do. So if you're not going to be a centerfold ever, that's okay,
Yeah.
you know, but that's not the end goal. That's not, the centerfolds don't even look like the centerfolds. So, yeah.
Photoshopped.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Okay, so now, and I'm going to play a devil advocate on this, because you said, you know, if you're okay and you're trust your body that's not moving where it's supposed to, like, you know, get where it's supposed to be.
Sure.
And then some point you said, hey, let's go and join Fit Body because you need a community. Why did you make that decision? Because if you trust your body, right, and that it should be where it needs to be, then why take that next step to get to that next level?
Yeah,
But-
I think for me, it was motivated out of a place of excitement to see
Okay.
what is my body capable of.
Got it.
Like, I've been able to lose weight. I've been able to get to a smaller size. I never saw myself as athletic because
Okay.
I've struggled with weight my entire life. So I never would have defined myself as athletic. And it was really actually just kind of a curiosity of,
Really?
I wonder what will happen.
Yeah.
And how my body will change. And it's been a really weird discovery process of seeing my body shift and change.
Right.
And I think had I been more fit younger, I probably would have been actually quite athletic.
Yeah.
And so not begrudging that and not being upset that I wasn't, and really thinking, cool, like, how can I do this now?
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so interesting, and I think this is why, like, one, like, we help clients lose, I'm not 100 pounds and around that. I don't think any more than that.
Mm-hmm.
So for you to do that on your own, and I tell our clients all the time, nutrition,
Yes.
comes first. And here you come in and, like, I lost 130 pounds, 130 pounds when you started here, right?
120. So yeah, 25 since being here.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
And then so, like, to come in and be like, yeah, I lost 120 pounds just, eating right. And I think you were walking at the time?
Walking my dogs,
Yeah.
yep.
So, like, simple things, right? So
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be anything complicated,
Right.
And so with a lot of people that's reaching out to me in Facebook and whatnot, at what point should they reach out to a professional because they're not they're doing it but they're not satisfied with where they should be? Does it make sense? Right.
I think if you're finding that you're at the point where you are more discouraged than encouraged by your process, and you're feeling lost or confused about what to do, that's the perfect time to get some extra support.
Right.
I think one of the things, though, that people can sometimes do is that they try to do almost too much at once.
Totally agree.
Yeah. And so, it's about finding what is reasonable. I'm single, no kids. Like, what I'm able to do in my time is probably different from what someone who has 5 kids running around and all that. So it's really about, again, defining your own version of healthy and finding how you can make some of those small shifts to begin to make a change in your life. Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen this. That kind of remind me of. Have you seen the little domino thing that there's a video on Facebook, and it's set up this big old square, and every square after that or in front of it is half the size. And then it's like the first one is like so small they have to use a tweezer to set it up, and then so they knock down that little thing, and then knock down this big giant thing, right?
Yep.
So this kind of remind me of that, like start out small, and then that kind of built up to something huge, right? Awesome. Now, I know I asked on all my questions here. Is there anything that that I haven't asked? I know this is kind of a weird question, but anything that I didn't ask that you want to share, or you think that clients or viewers would love to know that you experience and you want to share?
Yeah, I think this is something I'm incredibly passionate about. This is not something that I ever would have imagined that I would be passionate about, but it's something that I really believe in, and something that I hope that people can feel some of my excitement, some of my passion for it, because it is possible. It really, really is possible. But I think the main things that you need to do is you need to be kind to yourself. Like, we are so hard on ourselves when it comes to these things. So you need to be kind to yourself. And just focus on the little things. Break it up. Focus on those little choices every day and celebrate every single choice that you make. And hold the bigger picture of, this is about you really nourishing your body and living a fuller life overall. And you will find it becomes easier. It's not to say there's not going to be days that it's a little bit harder or whatever, but you will find that it does become easier. And so I think persevere is going to be the most important thing for people to do, is to just push through.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And this is what makes me so happy, because clients like you who comes in and do an amazing job and inspiring, because I don't know if you know this, but there's a lot of people that are inspired by you in here, and I know, and that is so powerful, because you hear something from one person and you hear somebody from somebody else, and it click, right? And it makes a whole different thing, right? And I know that you're starting something. Yes. I'm super excited for you, and I know I'm super excited for you.
Yeah.
And so tell us what you're starting.
Sure.
And all the information and all whatnot.
Yeah. Several friends have kind of inquired about my process and my journey and asking for tips and tricks.
Yeah.
And so I've decided to start blogging. I'm going to start an Instagram and then start a Facebook page where I will be starting to kind of document more my journey, be able to answer questions that people might have, to kind of share my tips and tricks of what I've done, and hopefully create a community of support for people who are looking to do this.
Okay.
And so, yeah, it's going to be called Choosing Everyday Victories.
How cool is that?
Yeah. It's a little bit of a play on words. Again, choosing, because it's something that has to be an active part of your process.
Right.
Every day has kind of two meanings. It's something that you're going to be doing moment by moment by moment,
Right.
but every day is also something that becomes kind of routine.
Right.
So making it a part of your routine. And victories. I mean, truly celebrating every step along the way and being proud of yourself every step along the way.
I love that, because I think that, I totally agree with you. People are too hard on themselves,
Yeah.
and then we don't celebrate enough of those victories, and then so we feel like we're not accomplishing anything, and this is where negativity starts to come in, and this is where we start giving up, right? So I love that. So guys, make sure you guys find her on Facebook and Instagram, and follow her for, I know you post a lot of delicious recipes.
I post recipes,
Yeah.
things I just make up, things that I find, recipes, tips, tricks. Yeah.
Motivation, inspiration. I know, and before this I was talking to her about like those things kind of like died down, right? You were very motivated. First week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month maybe, and then it just starts slowing down.
Yeah.
So we need to have somebody or a community that keeps us going on that motivation and inspiration part.
Yeah.
So guys, go find her, subscribe to her, follow her, to continue your journey. All right. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye bye.